So, you've also written about ancient lawyers and ancient trials and about legal history. How did you come up with the idea to write about the connection between comedy and law in ancient Rome and ancient Greece?
Okay. Now, I mentioned when I was talking about my selection of topics for the general examination, the qualifying examination at Princeton, before you would be allowed to proceed with a dissertation. And I mentioned my ancient Greek author was Euripides, the most elusive of tragic playwrights. And Terence may be the more humane of the great Roman comedians, Plautus being a wild, farcical guy, Terence writing beautiful Latin and wonderful plays that may not have the comic vigor that some people miss, but I love Terence. But I had to choose among several different areas. One of them was Greek and Roman religion. One of them was the topography of Athens and Rome. Archaeological sites, but also the historical development of the two cities from their more humble origin. There were one of them was ancient science. We had someone on the faculty who was interested in ancient science, so ancient science and math. Plato would have liked that. But one of them was Roman law. Now, why did I choose Roman law? I chose Roman law because I had done a Roman comedy class with Arthur Hansen, a very good teacher, a brilliant man who died entirely too young. Art Hansen, in his comedy class, pointed out the importance of law in understanding some of the things that were going on in Plautus. Now, we didn't read the plays of Plautus that I talk about in connection with Roman law, but in fact, I wouldn't say just about every. I will say in every play of Plautus, if you do not understand Roman law, you cannot understand what's going on. Sometimes it's embedded in the language. It's just metaphor for Roman litigation or the value system embodied in certain words. But some of the greatest comedy, the funny business in some of Plautus's greatest plays, the Pseudolus, the Menechmi, the Miles Gloriosus, the Mostellaria, the Aulularia, to name a few, and all of them influential ones that have modern imitation, development, imitation, adaptation, and Terence's Phormio, which has maybe the first lawyer joke in all of Western literature. To understand those plays as comedy, to get laughs, you really needed more Roman law than Art Hansen, who taught the Plautus class, was finding. And he himself was aware that there's probably a whole lot more there than he was aware of. Well, I found that and was happy to have found it. And some of the earliest papers, lectures, and conference papers that I gave had to do with Roman law and comedy. Back in the 70s, I was already starting. 70s and 80s, I was already starting. I taught a Roman law class a couple of times at the University of Denver, because we have a fair number of undergraduates who aspire to go to law school. The university has its own law school. And I should probably explain quickly that for anyone who doesn't know, but I'm sure your readers all know, that the study of law in the United States is post-baccalaureate. So I teach entirely undergraduates, baccalaureate students, for business degrees and for the arts degrees. And there are a lot of them who intended and still intend to go to law school after they graduate. And so I got pretty good enrollment when I could teach that course. However, it was pretty good enrollment. And there are other courses like the mythology classes or comedy and translation that draw many more students. And we're a private institution. It's not a state university. So enrollments are important. And so where the customers were, I brought the product. And Roman law just wasn't a product that appealed to students enough. I could get a class. The class was not too small to go, but I could get many more if I were teaching comedy or tragedy or mythology. That's the big seller. So in order to understand Roman comedy, I chose Roman law as my special subject. And then I use that when I teach even comedy and translation, and I did that last academic year. Or when, with a tutorial student, I go through a play of Plautus or Terence, I can point out the dimension of language that you just read the script, you miss, but there were laugh lines that depend upon knowledge of Roman law. And although a student who is struggling with the Latin doesn't laugh so loud when the laugh line is explained to him or her, still, it's an enriching experience. There are similar things embedded in other kinds of drama. You'd have to know a lot about Victorian Norwegian society, including law, to appreciate what's going on in Henrik Ibsen's plays, as one of the authors that I have dealt with at some length, although I haven't had a chance to do much with him lately. To understand more law than is explained in the script of something like Doll's House gives you a better understanding of the issues there. And I confess, I don't know enough about Swedish or Norse-Swedish Union law in the 1880s to appreciate some of the fine nuance of the situation in that play and in some of the others of Ibsen, where there's obviously some legal issue. So to understand law is for some ancient literature, and this goes for Virgil's Aeneid for sure, the great national epic of the Romans. That you need to understand law. And there are people who have admired, and I'll use Virgil's Aeneid as an example, have admired the tragedy of Dido and Aeneas without understanding principles of Roman law that would have given a very different perspective on the relationship to a Roman than they do to somebody with our laws of marriage and divorce.